Glad that you're here. Don't go anywhere because you are going to want to listen to my next guest. He's pretty amazing, not because he sat through hours and hours of classes, not that he's not an educated man. More respect, though, because he's lived it. He had a business at the age of 15 years old, a landscape business. And that's what I mostly respect is when they've actually lived the life that they've written a book about. Welcome, Justin Goodbread, writing The Ultimate Sale, a financially simple guide to selling a business for maximum profit. Glad that you're here today.
Thanks for having me, Suze. Look forward to having a conversation.
Well, again, ultimate respect. You've lived it. You wrote a book about it. Let's talk about the overall message, Justin.
At age 15, I started the landscape company. And after that, I sold that company, started two others and sold those. I learned something interesting in this whole process. So I'm mid-30s, started and sold three companies, very successful by what people would deem that. But the average business owner has 80% of their net worth tied up in their business, 80%. So what I see now working with business owners is they reach age 60, 70, 50 years old, and they are stuck. They're handcuffed in this business. And so I wanted to create a company. I wanted to create a process to which could change the paradigm, could change the message, could actually let these business owners who pour their blood, sweat, and tears into these businesses actually reap the benefit. We pour literally our blood, sweat, and tears, and we worked so hard to serve those customers we have the honor and privilege to serve. And we work to build our teams and pour our lives into the teams that we just are humbled that join us. But oftentimes we take care of ourselves less. So the ultimate sale was from my heart. It was putting a process out that could change the way business owners think about this thing called business and start preparing themselves for the ultimate sale.
What's the biggest mistake that we're making early on in our business that we wish we had known?
Oh, there's several of them. I can give you a couple of them. Perhaps the biggest one is we often overestimate the value of our companies. We think because we're making this unbelievable income that somebody's going to ride in on a white horse, the magical night, right, and give us X number of dollars for our company.
Right.
Candidly, that's not the case. What happens is only about 4% of businesses transact for what, in other words, they sell for what the owner thinks they're worth. And only about 14% of businesses actually sell. So the biggest mistake we make is that we think that someone is going to love our baby as much as we do.
It's a little uglier than we think.
Well, it's interesting you say that. My second book's called Your Baby's Ugly, believe it or not. So that's kind of funny you say that. It's coming out here very soon. But yeah, we think as business owners, someone's going to love it. Our business the same way. That's the big mistake. The second big mistake we make is we don't realize how much money it takes for us to replace this lifestyle this business affords. So I'll give you an example. It's not uncommon for people to say, hey, I only pay myself $100,000 a year, whatever the number is. But by the time they incorporate all the perks and the bells and whistles that come from a business ownership, and you now sell this business or you now want to retire, it's like, well, I'm used to traveling 5 or 6 times a year. I'm used to having my car paid for by the company, my cell phone paid for by the company. And now that company is gone and you have to replace that lifestyle. It costs a lot more to live than what we business owners often realize.
It's more than just salary. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's two huge mistakes that business owners make right there.
So what does a business owner evaluate as far as the business before the sale actually happens?
Well, typically, what the business owner does without professional help is they hear a colleague or a friend or somebody at a trade show who maybe sold a business and they're saying, hey, Charlie or Sally or Fred or Wilma got this much money for their business and mine is very similar to that. Right. Therefore, I should expect the same thing. So that we often don't evaluate, to be honest with you. Wow. But whenever people hire a professional like myself, we dive in and we do an informal appraisal, or we actually bring people in to do formal appraisals. I like to look at the company from about 256 different layers underneath it. So think about a building, pillars that are holding a building up. There's actually about 256 little levers that we can pull in a company that actually drives the value up. And we actually address these types of levers in the book, The Ultimate Sale.
You talk about 8 key areas of business. I mean, to me, there's income and outgo. I mean, I got 2. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. So I like to dissect the company down to 8 areas. So I look at it as planning. Most people plan more for their vacation than they do our business. And
Sure.
we're coming up in a season at the beginning of every single year to where we can invest in planning on what we're going to accomplish that year. So that's the first one, is planning. Leadership comes into place. We want us to have bottom-up leadership and top-down leadership. We want to have leadership at multiple levels throughout the company. And that doesn't happen by accident. You actually have to invest into the culture of your company. So that's leadership. That's another area. You have sales and marketing. People think those are often the same thing, but they're not. What marketing is that's getting the person to your company for the product or service you want to offer. And sales is, what is the process to which the customer is going to go through as they acquire that product or service. So those are two separate areas that we want to dissect to make sure those are shored up. A popular one is operations. We have all these type of operational strategies like Six Sigma or lean type of strategies. But in every business, including a service business, a small business, we can get hyper efficient in our operations. I often say that McDonald's has got this narrowed down. They can teach 16-year-olds how to cook French fries without burning the restaurant down. Now that's amazing. They do it globally, right? Across multi-cultures. So we want to make sure our business is the same way with operations. I think that's number 5 for us. Then we go into people. We want our team to be as strong as we can possibly build it. I equate people to a great football team like the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're not my team. I'm from Georgia. I'm a Georgia Bulldog. But the Alabama Crimson Tide has won the national championship so many years now that they're doing something different. They built a team that has depth to it. And we want to do the same thing in our business. So that would be number 6. Then the last 2 is finance. We want to make sure our finance is not just the income and outgo. We want to make sure that we break our entire company down to what we call key performance indicators so that the owner can literally be sitting on the beach and get reports and see how the golden goose is doing, see how the company is doing. And most of us really candidly just look at how much money we have in our bank account, right?
Sure.
Last of all is legal. Legal is all those things that's going to protect us from ourselves or from the environment or people around us. Right. So you deal with insurances, you deal with documentation, you deal with buy-sell agreements. There's lots of different things in that legal aspect. So we have 8 key areas. And if you dive into each of these areas, you can actually build the intangible asset of your company, which drives the value up.
Where in your business should you be when you read this? Is this before you start a business, during, or when you're getting ready to sell?
About 20 years ago, I would say about the time you're getting ready to sell. That's what I would say about 20 years ago. And candidly, that answer cost me a significant portion of money upon the sale of my businesses. Now, with what I know, some 25 years later, operating businesses and consulting with hundreds of business owners nationally, I have to tell you that if you come back to the very beginning, as early in the process, if you can understand the out. See, one thing is true here, Susan, is that we are going to leave our business. We're going to go through a death, a disability, a divorce, a disagreement. Something's going to happen that's going to cause us to leave our business. What we want to do is we want to create the business to where it's highly attractive as early as possible. That way, if opportunity intersects with our life, that we can get maximum value out of the company, and it's not just about ourselves, and care for those customers, again, that we have the honor and privilege to serve, and our team members to make sure that they're not destitute. I often say we business owners feed a lot of mouths. We pay a lot of car payments, right? We want to make sure those that we've been entrusted to as servants, as fiduciaries of our own rights, that they're cared for. And it doesn't do anybody any good to just stick our head in the sand like the old ostrich does and pretend that our business is going to be okay. We really have to be intent about that.
Do you have one quick success story you could share with us?
Oh man, I have several quick success stories.
I know, we got like 30 seconds.
Yeah, so here's an example. I had a client not too long ago that wanted to sell his business. He stuck his head in the sand like an ostrich, and he came, he said, "Justin, help me." So we orchestrated his whole life. We brought in the financial side, the personal side, the business side, 6 years. We put him in a 6-year time frame to where he had a business that couldn't sell, could never retire, to now a multimillionaire, and he has multiple offers on his business. It was difficult. He busted his tail to make it happen, but you can accomplish that.
Wow. All right. Well, we've got the information on the screen here. Your email, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, great. The great question is Justin@financiallysimple.com. Justin@financiallysimple.com. Financially Simple is our education portal. Even the book is a Financially Simple Guide. It's our series that we're trying to teach business owners that you don't have to be a number.
Love what you're teaching. Thanks, Justin. Have a great one.
Thanks for having me.